17th largest country in the world by area with over 1.6 million square, nearly 5 times larger than Vietnam and equivalent to the entire Western, with a history spanning over 2,500 years. It was once the brilliant cradle of ancient civilization, leaving its mark through unique architectural masterpieces, and is currently the country with the third highest number of UNESCO World Heritage Sites in the Asia-Pacific. Iran is also an energy superpower, with the world's second largest natural gas reserves and abundant oil resources. This makes it the focal point of all geopolitical strategies in the region. Both ancient and powerful, this country is a microcosm, where past and present blend in every rhythm of life. So how did today's Iran form from a vast empire in the past? Let's explore with 5 minutes right now. Achaemenid, the peak of Persian prosperity. Amid the ebbs and flows of history, the Achaemenid Empire emerged as an unprecedented phenomenon, and is considered the most powerful force in ancient history. This is a vivid testament to the organizational capability, tolerance, and timeless wisdom of an admirable civilization. The story began around 559 BC, when Cyrus the Great ascended the throne in Persis, a small kingdom in what is now southern Iran. With outstanding military talent and sharp strategic vision, he quickly defeated surrounding rivals, including the Median Kingdom in 550 BC, thereby unifying the entire Iranian plateau. By 546 BC, Cyrus continued by defeating King Croesus' Lydian kingdom and expanding the territory into Anatolia. The conquest of Lydia not only brought resources, but also opened the door for this dynasty to access the Mediterranean, as well as Western cultures, particularly Greece. By 539 BC, Cyrus continued his western campaign by capturing Babylon, thereby gaining the rich Mesopotamia region. He left a profound mark on human history by issuing a decree allowing the Jews, who had been exiled by the Babylonian kings, to return to their homeland in the Holy Land of Jerusalem. Meanwhile, in the east, in 530 BC, the Persians conquered a vast territory, and only stopped when they encountered high mountains. They also crossed the sea to capture the Makran region, hoping to strengthen control over maritime. Subsequently, Cyrus the Great's successor Cambyses II attacked the Egyptians and Arabs, then conveniently conquered the fertile country of Egypt, gaining the wheat granary of the Mediterranean region, making the Persian Empire increase. By the time of Darius I, he continued to push the empire's borders further in all directions, by deploying troops to the Caucasus and Thrace regions, and simultaneously seizing Lydia and Co. Then, continuing to expand eastward, capturing the Indus River valley, the area along the Darya River, and the land of the Dahai. In 500 BC, the territory of the Achaemenid Empire covered approximately 5,500,000, the largest in the world at that time. It stretched from the Indus River Valley in the east, through Central Asia, the Caucasus, and the Black Sea in the north, to the Thrace region in Europe, while the west was the Mediterranean and Lydia, and the south was the Red Sea and the Persian Gulf. This empire once controlled 44% of the global population, equivalent to 49,400,000 people in 480 BC. More specifically, Persian territory included many important regions, among which in the originating land of Pars, Persepolis played a significant spiritual role, as the site of the Nowruz New Year festival, and Pasargadae was the most developed city here. In the central region, Susa and Ecbatana served as transportation hubs. The city of Babylon was the economic and cultural center, helping the other the wealthy Mesopotamia. Interestingly, all 5 of these cities were capitals of the empire, with Persepolis serving as the ceremonial capital. Additionally, ancient Egypt was a source of abundant food supply, while the Indus River Valley possessed rich resources, contributing to the empire's strength and prosperity for centuries. To connect everything, the Persians built a royal road system, with a main route over 2,500 kilometers long from Susa to Sardis. This was an ancient transportation arm, with supply stations spaced about a day's journey apart, facilitating efficient communication and trade. The empire also had other routes, such as the Khorasan Road connecting the central lands to the eastern region. It ran from Ecbatana to Bactra, extending to Pushkalabati and as far as Taxila. They also controlled many important seas, situated on 3 sides of the eastern coast of the Mediterranean, as well as parts of the Red Sea, Persian Gulf, and Arabian Sea. Thanks to this, trade with other regions was easy. The Persian Empire was notable not only for its heritage, but also for its unique features in management and culture. The emperor organized the empire into about 20 satrapies, equivalent to provincial units, in which the head is the satrap, meaning governor, allowing regions to maintain their own customs, languages, and creating unity and diversity. Although following Zoroastrian, the Achaemenid court still treated all religions fairly, thereby helping to strengthen cohesion within the empire. To supervise subordinates, the king established a spy network everywhere, SI. This position checked tax collection, monitored the suppression of rebellions, and reported misconduct to the monarch. In some areas, SI. With a large and diverse population, the empire's powerful army was also composed of various ethnic groups. The infantry included the Takabara garrison force, the Sparabara fighting force, and the elite immortals consisting of 10,000 soldiers, always maintained at a fixed number. In addition, there were chariots, cavalry, camel cavalry, and elephant troops. The navy mainly consisted of Phoenicians, Egyptians, and Greeks. Economically, the empire issued the gold darat coin and the silver siglos coin, with an exchange rate of 1 darat equal to 26. However, people were still allowed to use other currencies. This promoted domestic trade and became an international monetary standard accepted from Greece to India. This also served as a model for later multi-ethnic empires, such as Rome or Mongolia. Nevertheless, the Achaemenid Empire could not avoid decline. By 330 BC, Alexander the Great of Macedonia conquered the entire territory after defeating Darius III in a series of swift campaigns. This marked the collapse of an empire that had existed for over 2 centuries and opened the spread of Greek culture to the Middle East and West Asia, a period known as the Hellenistic period. Moreover, the Achaemenid satrapy system was later inherited by Alexander the Great as evidence of the lasting influence of Persian administration. The Parthian Empire began conflict with Rome. Although the peak of power, the sudden death of Alexander the Great in 323 BC caused his vast empire to be divided among powerful generals called the Diadochi. Among them, the first Seleucid general had captured most of the former Persian territory in the east and founded the Seleucid Empire, which stretched from Asia Minor to the Indus River. In the first few decades, this empire maintained power on the arena and applying the Hellenistic model of government. However, control in the border areas, especially the remote eastern, quickly weakened by geographical distance, the resistance of the indigenous people, and conflict with hostile forces. This facilitated the rise of the Parthians, a people also belonging to the Iranian language family. Therefore, around the year 247 BC, Arsaces I founded the Parthian Empire. Under the reign of capable kings, Mithridates I and Mithridates II, this empire quickly expanded its influence. By the year 180, this empire had an area of up to 2.8 million stretching from the Indus River in the east, the Caspian Sea is in the north, the Persian Gulf is to the south, and bordered the Roman Empire to the west. In the 2-century-long conflict between the two most powerful empires, Persia had resounding victories. A prime example is the Battle of Carrhae, the place that took the life of General Crassus, one of the 3 most powerful men in Rome at that time, together with Caesar and Pompey. However, the Persian capital Ctesiphon, also having suffered many attacks and looting from the Romans, shows the fierceness of the competition. But the relationship between the two, not just Saudi at war, and there are also commercial exchange activity. On the Silk Road, luxury goods from China were transported through the Parthian territory, then continued to sell to Rome. Overall, Parthia adopted many aspects of the Achaemenid predecessor, including both the administrative structure and Zoroastrian belief. The new empire was also distinguished by its feudal federal. The combination of indigenous Iranian culture and Greek creates a unique characteristic. Although the central government has less power compared to centralized empire, the local nobility system played an important role in maintaining stability. Militarily, this dynasty was famous for its powerful cavalry, especially horse archers and units that even the battle-hardened Roman legions feared. Unfortunately, wars, epidemics, and internal conflict ended Parthia's existence in 224, replaced by the Sassanid Empire, a new Persian power more centralized. and also the most formidable rival in Roman history. Sassanid was a turning point in Iranian. The Sassanid Empire was founded by Ardashir I, when he overthrew the weakened Parthia. The new dynasty quickly consolidated and continued the prolonged war with Rome. Under King Shapur I, Sassanid achieved resounding victories, notably the Battle of Edessa in 260, when Roman Emperor Valerian was captured alive. By that time, Sassanid's prestige had been established. By the 4th century, under Shapur II, Sassanid not only continued the prolonged wars with its western rival, but also attacked eastward to confront nomadic tribes, such as the White Huns, and consolidated control in Central Asia. Entering the 5th century, Rome officially split into two, and the eastern half did not hesitate to continue confronting the Persians. After a long time, by 570, Sassanid captured Yemen, thereby limiting their rivals' trading capabilities in the Red Sea region. Entering the 7th century, under Khosrau II, this empire reached the peak of its power. It attacked and captured the Levant, Egypt, and part of Anatolia, even advancing close to the eastern Roman capital of Constantinople. The estimated area of Sassanid at that time reached 3.5 million square. However, the outcome of this military campaign ended in disastrous failure due to lacking a sufficiently strong navy. The siege campaign against Constantinople failed in 626. Afterward, Roman forces began a struggle, and by 627, Emperor Heraclius had defeated the Sassanid army at the Battle of Nineveh. Khosrau II was overthrown by the army, and the new Emperor Khavan II decided to negotiate. Since both sides suffered heavy losses, they agreed to return territories to pre-war conditions. But misfortune for the Sassanid dynasty had not ended. A 4-year civil war and 2 plague outbreaks caused this empire to face serious crisis. While the Prophet Muhammad established the first Islamic base in Medina in 622. From there it spread throughout the Arabian Peninsula, capturing Yemen and the western Persian Gulf region. By 633, a full-scale conflict between Arabs and Persians erupted. After defeats at Al-Qadisiyah and Dahband, the Sassanid army began to collapse. The last king of the empire, Yazdegerd III, fled and was assassinated in 651, completely ending the Sassanid dynasty, paving the way for Islamic rule. From here, Zoroastrianism began to decline, but Persians maintained their identity without being Arabized. They also made significant contributions to Islamic culture and helped spread this religion to Central Asia. By the 9th century, the Persian Renaissance began, with many indigenous Islamic dynasties emerging, ending Arab rule over Iran and restoring Persian to its dominant position. Although they no longer maintained the territorial scale of the Achaemenid, Parthian, or Sassanid eras, this marked the revival of indigenous culture. In the 11th century, the Seljuk Empire, a Turkic origin dynasty from Central Asia, emerged and rapidly expanded its power, seizing Iranian. Notably, they still used Persian and considered it the official language. Similarly, the succeeding dynasty, the Khwarezm Empire, also had Turkic origins, but they continued to use Persian and were strongly influenced by Persian culture. Later, Khwarezm was conquered by the Mongols, who then established the Khanate. To legitimize their rule, the Mongol kings declared themselves successors to the Sassanid Empire, and revived the concept of the Iranian land, creating an important ideology for Persians. Safavid, the revival of the Persian nation. After centuries under foreign rule, from Arabs, Turks to Mongols, the Persian national identity continued to exist and grew stronger over time. When the Khanate collapsed in 1335, followed by the Black Death pandemic and numerous conflicts, the Timurid Empire emerged and unified the Iranian lands. With Turkic origins from Central Asia, this dynasty was also strongly influenced by Persia. By 1501, the Safavid Empire was founded by Ismail I. Not only did he defeat rival forces, but he also established Shia Islam as the state, marking a step in defining Iran's distinctive religious identity, while surrounding rivals followed Sunni Islam. Additionally, Persian culture, architecture, art, poetry, and philosophy entered a new golden age, reflecting aspirations to restore the glory of ancient empires like the Achaemenid and Sassanid. Especially under Abbas I, the Safavid dynasty reached its peak of power and stability. Re-establishing the image of a powerful regional, he established the port of Bandar Abbas, turning it into an important commercial and diplomatic center. Meanwhile in the west, he launched a war with the Achaemenid Empire and captured Mesopotamia in 1624, including the city of Baghdad. However, the Persians could not hold this territory for long and had to relinquish it in 1639. Another rival of the Safavids was the Mughal Empire in India, with conflicts focusing on the strategic city of Kandahar. Ultimately, the Persians were the victors. Compared to predecessor empires like the Achaemenid or Sassanid, Safavid territory was not as vast, but it held profound strategic significance, with control over east-west trade routes, especially the Silk Road and the maritime corridor through the Persian. Additionally, control over the Caucasus regions helped this dynasty strengthen its northern defense and utilize military manpower. The combination of strategic geographical location, theocratic power, and military strength enabled the Safavids to affirm their position as one of the three most powerful Islamic empires of this period, on par with the Ottoman, while marking the true revival of the Persian nation on a regional historical map. Persia endures in the heart of Iran. Although the Safavid dynasty unified Iran, it could not avoid decline. It was replaced by the Achaemenid Empire founded by Nader Shah. The new dynasty conducted resounding conquests to the east, capturing Mesopotamia with its capital Baghdad, to the south seizing the Persian Gulf Coast, and to the north advancing into Central Asia and capturing the city of Samarkand. In the east, he captured the city of Delhi in 1739, bringing enormous spoils, including the legendary hymen, Koh-i-Noor. However, after Nader Shah's death, the empire quickly weakened and disintegrated due to the lack of a stable succession. Subsequently, the succeeding dynasty had significantly reduced territory and also collapsed after more than 4 decades of existence. By 1789, the Turkic origin family founded the Qajar Empire, ruling Iran while the region was being heavily infiltrated by Western powers. King Agha Muhammad decided to establish a capital at a new location, Isfahan and Zand. The final choice was Tehran, a small village but located in the central north-south axis of the country. Throughout the 19th century, Iran continuously faced wars with Russia and Britain, leading to a series of unequal treaties and severe territorial losses. Specifically, the South Caucasus and Turkmenistan region were seized by the Russian Empire, while the eastern region went to the British Empire and effectively Afghanistan. The island of Bahrain had long been out of actual control, but the Persian monarchy continued to claim sovereignty for a long time. Despite losing much territory, the Qajar dynasty maintained central Iran in a nominally independent government. However, actual power increasingly depended on British and Russian ambassadors and advisors, while reform efforts lacked decisiveness. Growing discontent led to the Constitutional Revolution of 1906, forcing the king to concede and establish the first parliament in Iran's history. Nevertheless, hopes for reform quickly faded after the Anglo-Russian Agreement of 1907, when the country became spheres of influence and the Qajar government lost almost all control over economic diplomacy. In the south, the British Empire tightened control over the to protect the sea route to India as well as to exploit resources, particularly oil. Faced with the monarchy's weakness, Officer Reza Shah carried out a coup in 1921 and deposed the Qajar king in 1925 to establish the Pahlavi dynasty. Upon taking power, he initiated many economic, educational, legal, and infrastructure reforms, while reducing the influence of the clergy and traditional forces. After this leader abdicated in 1941, his son Muhammad Reza Pahlavi succeeded and continued modernization policies, but faced increasing opposition. Ultimately, the monarchy ended with the Islamic Revolution in 1979, leading to the establishment of the Islamic Republic. Today, after centuries of turmoil and border changes, it has an area of 1,648,195 square kilometers, much smaller than the 3 glorious empires of the past. However, it still maintains a particularly important geopolitical position in the Middle East region. Located at the crossroads of Central Asia, South Asia, Iran borders Armenia, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan to the north, Afghanistan and Pakistan to the east, Iraq and Turkey to the west, while the south opens the strategic sea routes through the Persian Gulf and Oman. This position allows the Islamic nation to control the Strait of Hormuz, where 20% of the world oil passes through, making it a strategic center for global energy, trade, and security. It is also the only country with coastlines on both the Caspian Sea to the north and the Persian Gulf to the south, facilitating connections for both inland waterways and international. In terms of terrain, the country is mainly the arid Dasht-e-Kavir Plateau surrounded by two major mountain ranges, the Zagros to the west and Alborz to the north, which create distinct climate variations, greatly affecting population distribution, agriculture, and military. Located within the Alborz range, Achaemenid at 5,609 meters is Iran's highest peak and also a volcano. In Asia, it is also a spiritual symbol in Persian culture, representing resistance and resilience, once depicted on the 10,000 rial banknote before 2016. To affirm the nation's historical status. Moreover, with territory spanning a vast expanse, Iran has 11 different climate types out of the world's total 13, such as subtropical forest climate to snow-covered Zagros regions and semi-desert climate in the central area. Notably, the Persian forests, one of the oldest plant ecosystems on Earth, were recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 2019. Additionally, there are two major deserts, Kavir, or the Great Salt Desert, and Lut, also known as the Desert of Fire, creating landscapes resembling another planet, and adventure tourists. From ancient glories to modern beauty, the capitals through the ages have reflected the deep in the history, culture, and unique identity of the Persian Empire. First is Persepolis, the legendary ceremonial capital, the palace of Achaemenid, with its massive stone columns and exquisitely carved reliefs. Although only ruins, but it remains a symbol of wild power and has been recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Next is Firuzabad, notable for its circular urban planning and distinctive Sasanian architecture. One cannot overlook Isfahan, the capital of the Safavid under Shah Abbas I, renowned for its magnificent square. Nag East Sahan, Siyasepal Bridge, and Ali Kabu Palace are known as half a world and are a UNESCO Heritage Site. Next is Zad, a pre-Islamic desert city with intelligent wind towers, which is a center of faith of Ashan. Moreover, Surat is the center of Persian poetry, philosophy, and garden architecture, also recognized by UNESCO. Finally, Tehran, a modern capital since the Qajar era, flourished under the Pahlavi dynasty, clearly demonstrating this. The blend of tradition and modernity through iconic structures like the Golestan Palace, the Azadi Tower and the Lalad Tower, symbols of Iran's aspirations to rise in a new era. Like a crossroads between ancient and modern civilizations, this nation is not merely a journey. It is not only a bridge connecting the East and the West, but also a center of power competition with countless historical and cultural heritages spanning millennia. They have always played a prominent role in the global issues, especially since the Islamic Revolution of 19th. One of the biggest hotspots is Iran's nuclear program. It is built on the foundation of. The advantage for this country is that it is one of the few Middle Eastern nations possessing natural uranium reserves abundant. This advantage allows West Iran to pursue its nuclear program relatively independently, reduce dependence on external supply sources. In 2023, IAEA reported that the reserve Iran's uranium stockpile is nearly 4.5 tons, including nearly 0.13 tons enriched. Although this country has repeatedly stated that their nuclear program serves peaceful purposes, but Western concerns about the potential development of nuclear weapons have not diminished. The situation became tense in March 2025 when a senior advisor to Khamenei, Ali Larijani, said that Iran would have no other choice but to develop nuclear weapons if attacked by their ally, the United States. In response, on April 9, 2025, the United States itself announced new sanctions targeting Iran's atomic energy organization, along with many related entities, accusing them of continuing to promote uranium enrichment activities beyond amid escalating tensions. President Donald Trump announced plans to initiate a new round of nuclear negotiations with Iran on April 12, 2025 in Oman. However, Iran immediately denied. The discussions will only take place indirectly and through intermediaries, which shows the level of tension and lack of trust. The rift between the two sides remains very deep. In his statement, Trump warned that if an agreement is not reached, the Islamic State will face great danger. opening a new phase of uncertainty in bilateral relations and regional security. The above situation continues to show that although Iran is no longer a vast territorial empire as it was, but they remain the center of strategic chessboards, where historical past, political realities, and the interests of major powers constantly collide. And above is the process of Iran's territorial building. Hello and see you again in the next videos. Please subscribe to the Instant Noodle Edition.